Alright, what's going on, guys? We're going to be looking at some Iridescent head reworks, and I think there's a few ultra rare add-ons that need to be reworked in this game. A few of them are pretty cheap, you know, just lazy stat boosts or like one-shot abilities. And honestly, I think some of them are alright, some are worse than others, and I think by far one of the worst offenders is the Iridescent head on the Huntress. I mean, man, this thing is just awful. It's awful for the killer, it's awful for the survivors. Survivors don't like being one-shot, unless it's by a chainsaw killer, because there's something extra fun and scary when you're being chased by a chainsaw. It's actually, like, interesting, you know what I mean? But if you just get hit with a hatchet and you go down instantly, it's kind of like, you know? Great, I got one shot by a hatchet. Chances are pretty good she's going to shove me in basement and watch my ass with a hatchet just at the ready, just staring into my soul, holding that hatchet menacingly. So, for the first one, this is the Iridescent head rework. Once fully charged, hatchets break pallets and walls. I think that could be interesting. You could implement a downside of where it takes an extra second or an extra 30% to increase the wind-up time of the hatchet. I really don't think that's necessary, though, just because the sheer options it forces upon the Huntress. So, do I use one of my 5 hatchets to break this pallet, break this wall? Or do I stockpile and save my hatchets to try and get downs? I mean, if she's got the purple belt, then she's got 7, so she's got a little bit more playroom for a minute, but at the end of the day, you're still making a choice. The real fun comes in is a fully charged hatchet hits generators for 5% and start regressing at 100% immediately. Can only be done after being touched. So you can't just bomb out 7 hatchets on a generator and reduce it by 35%. That would be pretty crazy. Instead, it's going to be more like a tool to interrupt a survivor who's trying to pop a gen out from underneath your feet. Because that's a slower movement speed killer, you can't just get around as good. Especially if you're throwing hatchets. You drop in all the way back to 3.08 meters per second, which is one of the slowest, if not the slowest killer in the game at that moment. So, you got a survivor who's like 20 meters away, they're trying to pop a gen, it's at like 95, 99%, you hit it with a hatchet, boom, it drops back 5%. Whereas if you hit a survivor, okay, they take the shot, they hop back on, they pop it. Well, if you hit the gen, it drops it back 5%. That adds like, what, 6 seconds? Something like that to the gen time. That'll give you more time to get over there. Throw a hatchet on them. You can alternate generator, survivor. Chances are pretty good if they see the generator explode for 5% and then they get hit with a hatchet, they're going to hop off the generator to begin with. They're just not going to take shots. So this gives you just a little bit more, the littlest bit more of gen pressure. And I think slower killers really need that help, to be honest. Don't get me wrong, Huntress can slug, she can get some huge pressure, and she can really punish teams, but I think an Eerie head that's a little bit beginner-friendly and introduces a pretty interesting new gameplay mechanic, I think could be a really interesting and fun way to do things. And it also forces her to choose how she wants to use her hatchets. Do I want to get some more downs, or do I want to slow down a couple gens? I see a gen 80 meters away, nobody's on it. I could long bomb that generator, start it regressing. Survivors are going to be watching, hiding behind boxes, watching what she's doing, you know. If they're working on the gen, she runs by them. You know, they're going to be watching her even more because they're going to see, oh shit, she just threw a hatchet 90 meters that way. She probably set one of those gens back. You know what I mean? They don't tell them where another gen's at that's got a decent amount of progress on it because she long bombed the hatchet. It'll have survivors more on their toes, which I think would be a really fun mechanic. And then for the Soldier's Putty rework, like I said, I think it should just be base kit, to be honest. I don't even think it belongs in the game, let alone as an ultra rare add-on. But if you keep a Soldier's Putty, which they probably will, just rework it if they do, I'm thinking 10% faster when carrying a down survivor, so a built-in agitation basically, and then gain a 7% haste bonus for 10 seconds after vaulting a window. And I think she struggles very heavily when it comes to windows if you don't have the hatchet at the ready and hit them in the window. Because if they have live and they hit a window, it's over. It's over. You got like 20 to 30 seconds of straight running to catch up to them to prepare another hatchet to maybe whiff and lose even more ground. So I think you don't vault the window faster. I mean, you could use a perk that allows you to vault faster, like Superior Anatomy. But the 7% haste for 10 seconds allows you to catch up to survivors who have lives potentially, or just close the gap totally on people who don't have lithe, and then ready up a hatchet and throw another one. My original idea for Soldier's Putty actually was to also be able to vault windows while carrying survivors, and I think that would be an interesting, unique little gameplay mechanic that could, it's very niche, and that's why it would be a third add-on to the Soldier's Putty. Alright, so for the Iridescent Haft, a shimmering, curved, glass-like haft molded from the fog itself, a tool of the entity's devious machinations. 15% faster wind-up recovery in travel speed for hatchets. Now, if 15% across the board is too much, I think we could drop that down to 10. But the real fun comes in hatchets thrown past 24 meters slightly track targets. I'm not talking anything crazy. I mean, maybe we could boost it up to like 32 meters. I don't know. The only thing that holds me back from going to 32 meters is the fact that certain maps you just don't get 32 meters, you know? On a map like RPD and the game, you have a lot fewer options for 32-meter shots, you know, so that's why I was thinking 24 meters. But I think having it curved slightly would be the part that makes the gameplay a little bit more interesting. And I did just go with a cheap stat line boost. I tried to make up for it by having it lower, so like 10% maybe, and then the tracking from throwing past 24 meters. I couldn't really think of anything else besides these two, to be honest. And I kind of feel like you need, it is really nice to have faster wind-up recovery and stuff like that. So, a little quote from the Observer: "I got abandon all hope, ye who see her handle gleam." And I think it'd be a kind of a cool little thing you could throw in there, is if like when her hatchet does that full charge and it does that ping, that map-wide ping, if you're ever looking at her handle, or if you're ever looking at the head of her hatchet, you can actually see it gleam. It shimmers one time. And I think that would be cool to do that with a handle too, so that way people could know. Because I think 15's across the board, and then the slightly tracking isn't going to be so obvious. So if she's running past you, running up a hatchet, you can see her handle gleam and you would know, okay, I got to be a little bit more careful here. But I think by far my favorite ultra rare, new ultra rare for her, would be the Lion's Mane mushroom. It's an ultra rare mushroom. An iridescent mushroom. But this one's simple. A Lion's Mane mushroom, one the hunters pick for a special occasion. Removes the lullaby, increases terror radius to 40 meters. Okay, here's my thought process on this. Right now, there's 5 perks that the hunters can't use. All of them, the perks are usable, the add-ons are usable, but how usable are they with a 40-meter lullaby? The Wooden Fox makes you undetectable, but you still got a lullaby. Trail of Torment, you kick a Djinn, 60 seconds undetectable, unless it stops regressing. Still got the lullaby. Dark Devotion, you hit them, your terror radius transfers over to them. Well, you still got a lullaby. Your lullaby doesn't transfer over. And then you also got Insidious, which you still have the lullaby, obviously. You got these perks that she can't really use. She can use them, and Trickster can use them, even though he's got a lullaby. He can use them better, though, because his lullaby is kind of different. But you got these perks and add-ons that you can't really use that well. And I think you just remove her lullaby. I know it's kind of a tough one, because it's a core mechanic of her character that's part of her lore, that's part of her kit, part of her story, right? But I think you make it 10,000 or 10,000 blood points. You remove her lullaby for the duration of the game while it's active. Increase her terror radius to 40 meters. And actually allow her to be stealthy every once in a while. I think that would be a crazy switch up. And I think it would just make the game a lot more fun, a lot more interesting, a lot more scary. Because you're not going to hear a lullaby, you're just going to catch a random ass hatchet to the back of your dome, and then you're just going to take off running in a blind panic. So I think that would be a really interesting way to change it up. And to be honest, those are my 2 favorite add-ons. The ultra rare Lion's Mane, and then the rework for the Iridescent head. I think this would both be really great ultra rare add-on changes for the Huntress. I really don't believe the ultra rare hatchet head is that OP as it currently stands. Kind of easy to beat as long as you're smart, but I still would like to see it reworked, because it's boring. It's boring. I think just making it a one-shot, that's boring as hell. People want it to have the Iridescent head to rework to be a one-shot, but past 24 meters or past 30 meters, you know? It's like, that's not any better. You know what I mean? Because you can just camp a hook from 30 meters away. I mean, it's not that hard, you know what I mean? I don't know. And then if you have a hatchet that one-shots from like 32 meters away, 24 meters away, you're going to have to let her have 7 hatchets, because how often are you hitting 30-meter hatchets, you know what I mean? And then at that point, if you get somebody who's cracked, well, damn, then they're abusing the hell out of that add-on, landing 30-meter shots left, right, and center. So I think they need a complete rework. But yeah, that's generally my ideas, my thoughts for the reworks on the Huntress. Let me know what you guys think. What would you guys do for the ultra rare add-ons? How would you guys rework them? And yeah, that does it for this one. Thanks for watching. Like, comment, subscribe to all that good stuff, and I'll see you guys in the next one.